Me teadsime, et on huvi nagu paari intervjuu vastu, et me päris pressikonverentsi nagu ei plaaninud, aga et mis me oskame öelda, et jah, me oleme Fermi Energiana tegutsenud 4 aastat ja alustasime kohe huvi tehnoloogiate vastu ja esimesel aastal sõelusime paljudest erinevatest tehnoloogiatest välja 4, mida me hoolega vaatasime, aga siis 2020. aastal sai selgeks, et me peame keskenduma nagu veereaktoritele, mis on tegelikult Euroopas omavad kasutuskogemust, käidukogemust, reguleerimiskogemust ja mida on võimalik tegelikult Eestis rajada, sest energiakriis on nagu päris akuutne. Ja siis, kui 2021 oli detsember, meil oli päeva elektri hind siin ligi 600 eurot Eestis, siis me juhtkonna ja asutajatega oli meil põhjalik koosolek ja me analüüsisime olukorda, et mida on võimalik teha selleks, et kiiremini jõuda elektri tootmiseni hinnaga, mis oleks tarbijatele taskukohane ja stabiilne ja süsinikheitmeta. Ja üks tegevus, mida meie saime teha, oli see, et valida tehnoloogia, millega otsustavalt minna planeerimismenetlusse, millega minna edasistesse projekti arendustegevustesse ja kommertslikusse suhtesse selleks, et oleks konkreetne projekt, mida oleks võimalik arendada ja rahastada. Ja see on see põhjus, miks me eelmise aasta septembris saatsime välja pakkumiskutsed 3 ettevõttele, Newscale, Rolls-Royce ja Hitachi ja saime pakkumise kätte 15. detsembril. Analüüsisime neid koostöös partneritega, sealhulgas Vattenfalliga. So together with Vattenfall we analyzed the proposals ja jõudsime järelduseni, et erinevad asjaolusid arvestades, millest meie tehnoloogiajuht Martti Jeltsov põhjalikult rääkis, on meie jaoks ainukene õige valik edasi minna Hitachi tehnoloogiaga PVRX 300, mis siin pildil on. Need argumendid on järgmised, et see on tõepoolest meie Põhjamaades kõige rohkem kasutusel olev tehnoloogia, Olkiluoto 1 ja 2, mis praegagi annavad elektrit ka Eestile ja Soomele ja Forsmarkis 1, 2, 3 GWh-reaktorid Oskarshamnis. Rootsis on see ennast tõestanud tõhusa, soodsa, ohutu tehnoloogiana ja PVRX 300 teeb selle tehnoloogia veelgi kaasaegsemaks ja kiiremini rajatavaks ja ohutumaks. Nii et see on see põhjus, miks me selle tehnoloogia valiku nüüd tegime ja veel on võimalik anda teada sellest, et eile allkirjastasime Torbjörn Wahlborgiga meie kapitali kaasamise ringi tingimused ja me kaasame kokku 1,7 miljonit eurot, millest Vattenfalli täiendav investeering on 500 000 eurot. See ei ole loomulikult suur raha, aga katab olulised projektiarenduskulud lähi aasta ja pooleteise võtmes. Nii et need on see info, mida me saame nagu täna peale pikka tööd avalikuks teha. Ja nüüd on see moment, kus küsida minult Sandor Liivelt, Wilemanilt Hitachist ja Torbjörn Wahlborgilt Vattenfallist mõned küsimused. Ja siis pärast oleks võib-olla moment anda mõned pikemad intervjuud, kui teile huvi pakub. Et ma ei tea.
So you can ask short questions, or would you like to do some opening statement as well from your side? You know?
No, I'm very pleased to be here. It's a fantastic day to have been working with Fermi Energia since 2019 through the process, and we've gotten closer and are now working on the deployment to our new customers' timeline. So we're very excited to bring this technology to Estonia.
Torbjörn?
Yes, we are also very excited to continue the journey with Fermi. We worked actually together since 2019, and now as a co-owner and a partner. So very exciting about this project, and yeah, I mean, it's just getting more and more excited every day.
Nii, võtaksime äkki küsimusi, kui on.
Aivar Valforta, esitan kaks lihtsat küsimust alustuseks, et kaks peamist küsimust, et mida ta kütuseks tarbib see jaam ja kus kohas see võiks tulla ja mis saab jäätmetega? Et olete te mõelnud selle peale, et kuhu need jäätmed hakkavad Eestis panema?
There was a question about the fuel.
Yes.
Maybe President, you answer that question, you know, the from where fuel is coming and
Yep, so one of our design principles for the BWR X300 is simplification, design to cost, proven technology. So the boiling water reactor has been around since the 1950s. GE has manufactured almost 70 in 10 different countries, and we have a very robust supply chain. The fuel that will go into the BWR X300 is exactly the fuel that we are manufacturing in our headquarters in Wilmington, North Carolina today. So there's no need to license and test and prove out the fuel. The other piece that's very important to us is once you get to commercial operation, you have highly reliable operations. So we believe bringing all these elements together puts us in a very good position, including with very proven fuel. Over 20,000 fuel bundles have been operated out there, so we understand it very well.
I would further comment that we would like to cooperate with a Canadian company called Cameco to ensure that uranium for the fuel would only come from reliable, democratic, well-regulated NATO country. And we're furthermore cooperating with Vattenfall to see whether it would be possible that Vattenfall would be helping to arrange the contracting to ensure that the long-term fuel different contracts and services are well provided and managed. But it's a bit too early to let's say announce exactly how that is going to what is the arrangement.
So, can you just expand?
Jäätmete pool oli ka, palun.
So, Oliver and Klaus, can you just expand a little bit more about what that cooperation with Cameco might look like? Sort of, are you having discussions with them already? If you could just...
Yes, we have discussion with them, but we are announcing that cooperation when we have things signed. But that is our objective, to ensure that the uranium would be only sourced from NATO countries. When it comes to the back end, then the Estonian public mostly doesn't know that the fuel going in is exactly the fuel that is coming out. So nothing is missing or getting gaseous or liquid. It's still the metallic fuel elements that need to be later on, after several years of cooling, need to have a geological repository. So like it's written in the Bible, what is taken from the earth is put to the earth, as is the fate of humans. So the same is for the fuel, and on that sense, I'm very pleased that after Finland, also in Sweden, there is government approval on the final repository of in 450 meters depth. There will be a repository in crystalline bedrock, and we are not very far here from Finland and Sweden. So the same crystalline bedrock of Fennoscandian shield is also 200 meters below our feet. So the crystalline bedrock, which is stable, solid, and has no aquifer, is also many hundred meters potential bedrock for the geological repository. But what is the exact technology and the siting, I mean, this is too early to discuss.
Could I ask GE Hitachi a question?
Certainly.
Just a few weeks ago or a few days ago, you announced the first commercial contract for the SMR in North America. Now you are announcing the first contract in Europe. How much does this give you a head start in comparison with your competitors?
So, yes, it has been a very exciting couple of weeks for me personally and for the whole GE Hitachi team. So we did announce 2 weeks ago our first commercial contract with a North American customer, Ontario Power Generation, along with 2 other partners, including SNC-Lavalin and AECon, and we'll join in an integrated project agreement to build the first VIDRX 300 at their Darlington site. Today was an exciting day, but it was not a contract, it was only a tech select. But it's the beginning of moving down toward developing this project here in Estonia for Fermi.
I would comment that we are aiming to have what we call early works agreement, hopefully negotiated, discussed, prepared by middle of this year, and then signed them, and hopefully have this same where our Canadian friends are when it comes to the commercial contract by end of 2025. So to prepare really the site-specific design, meaning cooling and grid, and then also the budget, the schedule, work distribution, finding the right partners for construction and engineering, and many other elements, so that we really by end of 25 we would able to arrive where the Canadians are, and for the sole purpose to have reliable, clean, and affordable power generation by Christmas of 2031. That is our goal. Sooner is very, very hard. It's next to impossible. Later becomes, the later we come online, the more expensive it is for Estonian people.
Just gonna ask a question. Krish Kars from Latvian Public Television, also a question to GE Hitachi about the aim term for the project. Do you see the end of 2031 as a realistic date? Because as I understand, this is going to be something completely new that hasn't been realized anywhere in the world yet. Thank you.
No, thank you for that question. So the different projects in different regions are lining up quite nicely, with OPG taking the first of a kind. That project is very well defined. They've been working on that for quite some time. They are, their schedule shows end of 28 for end of construction and operation in 29. Right behind them is Tennessee Valley Authority, a large utility that has an existing licensed site in Tennessee. And they'll develop their project just about a year behind that. And then that works perfectly for a lot of that common engineering and common work that's done just once and then applied for a specific site. So and then we'll have a supply chain that will be already delivering for OPG and for TVA. And we're also working with Sandor Green Energy and PKN Orlen as a JV in Poland. So we'll be able to have also a European-based and eventually as much content from Estonia as we can as well. So I think it lines up very nicely, and that schedule is certainly doable.
You're having elections in Estonia in less than a month. Is nuclear a subject in the political discussion right now?
Aivan vähe, so a little bit, but what is better is what is written in the word. So in the party election platforms, with exceptions, one exception, nuclear has been mentioned in a positive way. So it's important that what is the election outcome and how the negotiations are being led, and what text comes in the coalition agreement that is going to be, of course, material to the project execution. But we are encouraged by the fact that current Prime Minister Kaja Kallas, in the election program announcement, clearly stated that if the Nuclear Energy Working Group final report by end of this year is positive, she would foresee that we proceed with the aim of having power generation by end of this decade. This is a little bit too ambitious for us, but a year later is doable.
And maybe I just add, because this political support issue, of course, is material, as Kalev said, and when we founded the company or discussed the founding of it, with Kalev and then the rest of the founders team, we very clearly defined ourselves that this is 100 years project. We can't rely on few political party support, or one kind of coalition potential arrangement in Estonia. During this project, I'm not meaning full the project 100 years what I said, but even preparation when before we start to construct physically, we probably have seen all possible coalitions coalitions in Estonia what is possible. And even during these 4 years, because we're celebrating as well this 4th conference, and if we just look back, who know Estonian politics, what kind of coalitions we had, already, so that basically, nuclear can happen and only where there is wide public support. And that we measure from the beginning when we started the project in 2019, semi-annually. And latest number we announced today as well, that 61% of Estonian inhabitants support nuclear option. So when we started, it was like 50 whatever, 53, something like that. Of course, it peaked, in the last year, August, when it was like 69, because of course there is a price effect, but jump was as well, like more than 10%, when the, so that if power prices jump, 10 times, 10%, support for nuclear, but even 61% of support, or whatever project in the country, it's very high. And it's and another thing what I like to mention, because we just in preparation of the speech today as well, I looked this ball. We ask as well always what kind of type of new generation you support, and in the top there is wind, nuclear and solar, and by the way it's a order, wind is most popular, nuclear is number 2nd. Nuclear, I think, got more popular it was like, second year or something, or second semi-annual thing, So, and then it's solar. So that basically wind, solar, and nuclear are supported in right order. Wind, nuclear, and solar, and difference are very, 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 very small. So that let's see how it goes. We don't see for us, actually as Fermi Energia, we don't think that we are competitors. Wind, solar, and nuclear. Vice versa. I said it in this morning opening statement as well, and I've been repeating in every opening statement here before years, so that we believe that the future of Estonian electricity generation will be wind, solar, and nuclear. I used to say before, if we're not preparing for nuclear and if we're not doing nuclear, who will get Russian gas? Now we don't have any more Russian gas. And who believed naively in Europe that Russian gas will be part of the acquisition, they can't get simply that anymore. Because the Nord Stream pipes, instead of gas, filled with seawater. Salty one, not very salty one, which is in the Baltic Sea, but this is filled with so basically, I think, in long term, we don't have a enough electricity available without nuclear. If we like to get it really clean, I mean CO2 free, what is the objective? And of course, very important actually about the German, you said in your presentation today, doubling of the consumption in Sweden in what it was 20 years probably.
20 years.
Yeah, wherever we talk, everybody says in Europe, we're not talking about increase of electricity consumption anymore. How many percent in a year? We're talking about doubling of consumption of electricity, and then somebody says that 15 years, 20 years, some would say 25 years. We're talking about doubling it. So basically, we need new generation capacities, and we need wind, we need solar, we need nuclear, we need batteries, for storaging, we need demand response, we need all of it. But we need new capacities, and that is the only way to get it, to build that.
Öelge palun, kui suure pindala need plaanitavad 2 reaktorit endale võtavad ja kuhu kohta te nende alad olete täpselt plaaninud ja kui suur on toetuse protsent nendes piirkonna elanike seas? Te ütlesite 61 oli vist üldine rahva.
Üleüldine,
jah. Väga hea küsimus. 2 reaktori jaoks on vaja circa 20 hektarit. Ja me oleme eelmistel konverentsidel rääkinud asukoha valikutest. Diana, ma usun, et rääkis sellest eelnevalt täna. Ja me oleme tuvastanud 3 asukohta 2 vallas, mida meie hinnangul on põhjast eriplaneeringus ametlikult kaaluda. Kui riik pakub täiendavad asukohti veel, vaatame neile otsa, aga mis on vajalik iga elektritootmise seisukohalt on vaja elektrivõrke, sellepärast, et tarbijad tahavad seda elektrit kätte saada. Nad tahavad seda ju tarbida, sellepärast seda elektrit toodetakse. Teiseks on kondensatsioonisüsteemi elektrijaamadel vaja turbiiniauru jahutusvett. Täna on see Narva jõest, aga tulevikus piiriveekogu ei ole kõige parem veekogu, kust jahutada elektrijaama, mis 100 aastat elektrit toodaks. Nii et me peame riigi piirist olema, arvestades meie naabri eripärasid, peame olema teatud distantsi kaugusel. Ütleks vähemalt 50. Et Kaitseministeerium kujutab enda ametliku seisukoha ka mingiks ajaks, aga me hindame, et vähemalt 50 kilomeetrit peab olema riigi piirist kaugemal. Nii et see jätab meile lauale tõsiselt kaalumiseks Viru-Nigula ja Lüganuse vallas teatud alad, aga milline täpne seal kilomeeter siia või sinna, et seda täna ei ole võimalik ütelda ja kordaks lähtuvalt Eesti seadustest asukoha valiku teeb riik. Et kui riik ütleb meile teeme sinna, siis me võime kas või Võrtsjärve teha, aga vaadates objektiivsetele asjadele otsa, siis on väga raske näha, kuidas neid muid asukohtasid juurde võtta. Kui keegi tõstab käe, siis kaalume.
Ruutmeetrit jutt oli ka, sa ütlesid, et mingi jalgpalliväljak.
Ütleme, et 20 hektarit on ju 2 jaamale, 2 reaktorile on see, mis on kõikide tugistruktuuridega, ehitusaegsega on küllaltki piisav. See ei ole miski, mis Eestis hinge kinni võtab. Rääkides kohalikust toetusest, jah, me seda küsitasime hiljuti ka. Toetusmäärad olid Ihkel täpsustamid numbritega.
50% mõlemas vallas, ehk siis Viru-Nigula vallas ja Lüganuse vallas tegi Norstat uuringu, mille koondtulemus on see, et mõlemas vallas üsna sarnaselt, et 50% pooldab enda koduvalda tuumajaama planeerimist, 3% on vastu või mitte vastu, rohkem või vähem vastu ja ülejäänud siis ei oska seisukohta võtta. Põhimõtteliselt siuke seis on.
Üks sõna veel selle uuringu, mul lihtsalt oli meelde selle, et kui ma vaatasin seda, et see aasta jaanuaris oli 61, eks ole, ja siis tegelikult drastiliselt oli tõusnud nende hulk, kellel ei ole seisukohta. Kui ma peast mäletan, oli umbes 10 pealt, siis 21-ni, 22-ni, Mihkel kindlasti raportit välja, eks ole. et see oli nagu just võrreldes augustiga, eks ole, nüüd jaanuariga, eks ole, kuna august oli hästi suur, 69 ja nüüd oli 61, eks ju, et noh, eks on hinna leevenduse mõju, eks ju, et hinnad on kukkunud, universaalteenus võib-olla isegi mis iganes, eks ju, tähendab, et aga siis ma vaatasin, kus see tuli, eks ole, et tegelikult need, kes ei tea, oli hüpanud, praktiliselt nende arvelt tuli, tähendab, eks ole, et kes ei tea.
Ma ütleks, natukene mingi analoogia on Saksamaal küsimuses, kas anda kaasaegseid relvastust tanke Ukrainlale. Enamus ei olnud pooldav enne, kui Saksamaa otsustas. Peale seda, kui Saksamaa otsustas, on väga selged küsitlustulemused, mis näitavad olulist toetuse kasvu ja noh, Eestis veel riik ei ole seisukohta kujundanud, nii et etapis, kus me oleme lihtsalt eraettevõtte on arendamas projekti ja on kaalumise küsimus ja riik ei ole veel seisukohta kujundanud, meenutades ka, et Euroopa Liidu referendum peale päris olulist riiklikku teavitustegevust oli 66%, siis 61% täna ja 68% 6 kuud tagasi on ikkagi, noh, ütleme, küllaltki soliidsed numbrid.
No väga kõrged protsendid on ikkagi otse, jah.
Could you just speak a little bit about the political process? I heard the comments earlier regarding the working group and the Prime Minister's support, but what needs to be done on a governmental level here in Estonia? So, for example, is it just an act of parliament, and also what steps need to be taken? Also, can you speak a little bit about the regulatory environment, how you are going about, or the government goes about establishing regulators?
So the representative of the Nuclear Energy Working Group will be speaking later today. So I would be careful not to speak on her or their behalf. But what I would reflect on is what Sandor said very rightly, that following that the final report is being is ready and firstly submitted to the government for approval. Then, given the democratic nature of the republic and the, let's say, significant and important issue that is energy security and is the decarbonization and also is the nuclear energy as such, then it is a matter of the parliament in a representative democracy to elaborate and decide, because it's going to be a decision for a long period, and that we're going to see several governments. But it is not the final decision that yes, Estonia will build a nuclear power plant. This would be a decision what is in EIA terminology called knowledgeable commitment to nuclear energy program. The final decision on the site would come really later, and even in that site decision, given that Estonia is not as big as Poland or even as Sweden, and so that site would be most likely the only nuclear power plant site in Estonia. It is absolutely reasonable and justified that there too is a democratic and parliamentary elaboration process, and which is also prescribed in the Planning Act of 2015.
And there was question concerning regulator and nuclear law as well, I heard, and you know, in Estonia, probably, you know, local journalists know, foreigners probably maybe not, but Estonia is not first time considering nuclear option. Of course, we already, when it was, you know, 15 years ago, was potential cooperation project in Lithuania, in next to existing Ignalina power station, which is closed now, and then the project was called Visaginas. But as this project didn't go so well, and then actually there was already back then discussion about potential Estonian nuclear, and then actually was even nuclear draft law for nuclear was prepared. And what is public information, this working group or ministry, one of the ministries announced last year already a tender for law companies to adopt or renew this draft nuclear law. So basically, this is all public information. That's probably if they announced and selected some law company who can help them, the government to redraft their draft law, so that probably something is going on there. But I would say really on this what and how government go further. As Prime Minister Kaja Kallas said, if the nuclear government nuclear working group report will be positive, and they have to submit it at the end of this year. So probably they will define as well next steps for the government. Is that parliament discussion? Is that and for the site? Yes, that is in the law. If you like to build in Estonia any kind power generation asset which is bigger than 150 megawatt, you have to have national special planning process. This is the and process is in the law. This is not only for the power generation assets, but some other general and huge infra projects. So that, but that is specifically said, power station bigger than 150 megawatt. Hitachi, reactor is 300 megawatts electrical. So that we have to do national special planning to find a suitable site. So that have to be then at some point started as well. Of course, for that that can be initiated by a private company like Fermi Energia. So that is a process, and that's of course will be in the plans as well. So that which will be of course coordinated with government other activities. So that that is ideas, and I would say even in our heads are quite clear plans, but of course government and nuclear working group from government side have to do and finish their work, so that and what they say will be finally what's going to happen. But actually, just to add, because the timing, and this 31, Christmas has been on the screen today a lot, and mentioned here as well. And thank you so many journalists showing up, because we didn't expect so many, but we're very glad that you came here, and to have it ready in 31. What was in early 26? We have to order, this long lead items, basically reactor vessel, So this is getting serious. So that this is this is not in the walk in the park anymore. So that it's already very serious, and of course it's I think it's something what we need, and it's something what we really pushing to happen,
aitäh, ma võin teha ettepaneku, et lähme edasi intervjuudega.
Yep.
Shall we continue with interviews, because we have about 15 minutes of lunchtime left.